Ben, these days, is a GM, Marketplace Development for Google, but of course we have a great deal to thank Ben for because he invented the first really significant SSP ad mail, and he's going to talk to us about monetization strategies. All yours, mate.
Thank you very much, Tom. I have the dubious pleasure of being the last person to speak at this conference before we will all take questions. So I'm going to make this relatively brief and hopefully entertaining. I'm also going to try to wrap everything that everyone said into a short nugget. Not only did we have the great publisher viewpoint and the advertiser from Marco, and also the mobile from Advertise, and the new and upcoming kind of vendor viewpoint from Paul, but we also got what's going public today, Twitter, and the next generation. And so what I'm going to talk about today is where does programmatic go from here? From the idea of ad networks and real-time bidding to in-feed advertising, we, in the past 5 years, have really focused in on creating performance from real-time advertising, bringing together audience and context and brand adjacency in order to find those clicks and those unique actions that happen immediately. But the true promise of programmatic is really about branding and about taking advantage of the second screen and the third screen in order to raise brand awareness, raise purchase intent, and raise those things that brands really want to get at audience. And the most efficient and effective way to do this is through programmatic. So I'm just going to talk a few minutes about 3 things that we find really important around the shift in dollars towards programmatic. And those 3 things are experience, engagement, and measurement. Without those, we won't be able to make this shift. But I'm quite confident that with the help of all of these people in the room and the help of you, we'll be able to make this happen. First, I'd like to get a quick show of hands, 1, to see if anyone's still awake, or 2, kind of see the split between marketers and publishers. If you're a marketer out there, would you raise your hand? Oh, that's fantastic. And if you're a publisher, would you raise your hand? Oh, that's great. We have a fantastic mix of both publishers and marketers, and it makes it that much more powerful. So the way that we involve ourselves with media today is much more different than it ever has been and will continue to change. In the past, on your left, you see a picture of how we've mostly experienced media in the past 100 years. We sat back, we consumed, it was single channel. But today, none of us really consume media that way. Today, as you all are texting and tweeting and Facebooking while you're experiencing my presentation, we all use 2, 3, and 4 screens in order to experience media. And that really shows why and how the consumers drive the adoption of this new media. And as publishers and as advertisers, we need to take advantage of the consumption patterns of the audience. And what is that? That is a much more immersive experience, a much more interactive experience, a much more integrated experience, and a much more impactful experience. With all of these qualities, we will engage our audience much more effectively and deeper and have a better relationship with them. So I'm going to show here a engaging experience by a brand that has recently engaged with Google in order to both utilize programmatic as well as do this cross-screen and cross-media. So let's see if we can go ahead and play this video.
You mean everything to me, baby, and I hope I mean everything
So that was a pretty effective campaign. What could be better than looking across all those different screens and across mobile and across social and across display and across video in order to reach your client? This was all done programmatically. So the purchases for all of these videos happened across the mobile, across display, and within pre-roll. And this is what makes this sort of effectiveness come out and really grab the user and implant the idea that the brand is happening with the user and wants to engage in that conversation. So I'll talk just briefly about kind of the measurement part of the equation, because this is what we've all been struggling with. The reason why more dollars haven't shifted into programmatic, and while they have been shifting very quickly, they've been mostly performance dollars, is because we don't have a great way up until now to measure that brand engagement. We now talk about what it is and how many seconds someone has stayed on a particular ad. We look at rates like how many people have looked all the way through a video and consumed it at its quartiles, 25%, 50%, 75%, and 100%. But that's not really what brands care about, and it doesn't really make it easier for people to buy. What people are very used to buying today is television at large scale, and they do that because they're able to buy a gross rating point. That means the same thing in Turkey as it does in the US, as it does in the UK, and it's something where you can measure the difference between a Friends episode and an NFL broadcast with accuracy. And so what we are all moving to is giving people a seamless way to measure the effectiveness of these cross-media campaigns that they haven't had before. And different people are coming up with different measurements. At Google, we're coming up with the active GRP and active view metric. There are other competing metrics out there, and over the next few years, I think we'll find something that everyone will agree on, will make buyers buy more easily, and will make sellers able to measure themselves against their peers. So just to reiterate, for brands and marketers as well as for publishers, the three things that need to be thought of in developing content and developing media plans are the experience, the engagement, and the measurement. Thank you.